Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me today for a 1953 Topps themed episode here on the channel. Love this set. It is one of my favorite vintage sets, period, from Topps or otherwise from any manufacturer or brand. Just love this release. Fell in love with it as a kid in 1991, opening packs of the Archives reprint set that Topps put out. So you could get packs of essentially reprinted 1953 Topps cards as a kid at the hobby shop in 1991. And, that being the pre-internet and cell phone and home computer for most folks era, baseball cards were how I immersed myself in the game and learned more about the players of yesteryear and the history of the game, which was something that I was interested in from a very early age and still am to this day. And so obviously I instantly fell in love with that 1953 Topps set, just because it wasn't easy to get exposure to vintage cards as a 8-year-old in the summer of 1991 in really any other way. And so I fell in love with 53 Topps. Never owned a real one all the way up until I got back into collecting as an adult in early 2008, maybe late 2007. And it was actually late 2007 that I think I bought my first 1953 Topps card. Worked on a graded set for years. Sold it off, or most of it anyway, when things went totally bananas at the beginning of the pandemic, and then kind of regrouped, and I'm now working on just a regular old, I hate the term, but raw set, so to speak. And so the cards that you see spread out in front of you here, these have already been featured on the channel in the past. I did a couple 1953 Topps rummages like the one we're going to do here today, and that's the result of those, including that Luke Easter that you see up in the background. But recently was the recipient of that amazing Bob Boyd card on the right. Got that from Peeps, my hobby buddy, in a Peeps Wax Pack, as a matter of fact, and that kind of reignited my interest in completing this set and showing some more of my 53 Topps cards on the channel. If you don't, if you didn't know any better, you might think that all I collect is shiny modern parallels, because I feel like I've been showing a lot of them lately. But I really love vintage baseball cards. And at some point in my life, I do plan to complete the entire 53 Topps set. So what you see laid out in front of you there, somewhere in the realm of 33 cards. But I've pulled another 23 here from my budding set build, and we're just going to flip through them quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on any card. Don't really know a lot about, most of these players, if I'm being really honest, especially the commons. I was not going to be born for another 3 decades after this set came out. So I obviously never saw any of these guys play, but I just love vintage baseball cards. And this was, kind of the first vintage love for me, courtesy of that archive set. So I've gabbed long enough. We're at 3-minute mark here. Let's just see some 53 Topps. So really cool one to start with here. I love the St. Louis Browns. Of course, they're no longer around, and their logo is just fantastic. Really, really like that one. And these are all, none of these are going to be from the high number series, which are cards number 220 and up. These are all going to be lower series cards, kind of plucking away at the low-hanging fruit first. Do have some big cards, though, but this one's a little more off-center than I would typically go for. There's barely a right border here, but this was $2 on eBay with free shipping, so cross a number off the list. I can always upgrade later, and I'm really just trying to get these in any condition that is at least presentable. I don't really want rips or tears or hole punches through the cards. I don't really want pen mark or writing on the fronts or back. As long as the visually appealing photo, or in this case painting, in relatively decent shape. I don't mind a little dinged corner here, or a little bit of off-centering, or some fading of the border color on the card, and it's not maybe pristine white in all these cases. But many of these, like I said, I picked up over the last few years on eBay. I think they've gone up in price, as everything has over the past few years, but there were sellers back in the day where you could just load up your cart with a bunch of these for $2 a card, $2.50 a card, $3.50 a card, because I'm buying kind of the lower quality cards. But these look great. I mean, I don't need a better looking 1953 Topps card than this William Kennedy. Nice Red Sox card there. And sometimes I fail to show the backs, but this set has one of my favorite card back designs in the history of the Topps run. I just love the big legible card number inside the baseball there. They fit an illustration and a quiz kind of combined into one. In the lower right corner, you get a facsimile signature, a summary, the essentials, statistics. They really got a lot done here, but did it in a way that's pleasing to the eye. And of course, these being 53s are a little bit oversized, slightly compared to the modern traditional size baseball card that we've seen sort of since the mid 50s and onward from top. So they had a little bit more real estate to work with there. Here's a great smile from Cal Abrams. And I love these logos that are used in this set. Just awesome. Most of these are just portrait shots. As you can tell, this Bob Boyd in the background is kind of the exception to the rule, where you get a bat and frame and some more stuff going on. But the average card in the set is just a clean portrait of the player. Everybody's wearing a hat, which I love. Can't stand the capless player cards of the 60s. And just a beautiful set. Got the Fightin' Phillies here. Connie Ryan. And you can see, like, this one's got a little bit of staining up here. Maybe I'll upgrade that one at some point in time. But again, the price was right on these. And when you sleeve them all up and put them all in top loaders like this and sort them by number, they just look amazing. They don't need to be perfect. They weren't meant to be. These were made for kids and made to be traded and played with and tossed against walls and put in bicycle spokes. Moving on here, we got Danny O'Connell. He doesn't look too pleased to be included on a Topps baseball card. And then Herm Weimeyer. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Looks a little bit suspicious. He's got a scoreboard in the background here. On the average shot, there's just barely a little bit of something going on in the background just over the player's shoulders. And then you get a lot of blue sky for the most part. A little more stadium here on this Ned Garver for the Detroit Tigers. Frank Smith for the Reds. And here's a nice one. This is just a plain blue sky background. Tommy Byrne for the Chicago White Sox. And the background, the sky and the clouds kind of fit with this winged White Sox logo. It's kind of cool. Toss that one up back here. Yeah, again, none of these were expensive. This is just a very slow, lengthy pursuit to rack these up. I'm well aware that there are expensive Hall of Famers that'll need to be dealt with, and I have been working on those on the side. Most of those are graded. Here's another cool thing about the 53 set. In the lower series, the Braves cards are denoted as the Boston Braves. As the series move on and the team moved, the later series cards actually do reflect the Milwaukee Braves. So that's kind of neat. Here's another team that's no longer around, at least in the city that it was at this time. Billy Connolly for the New York Giants. Love it. Got a nice ball field background on that one. There's another cool Browns card here, and some nice shades on this one. Check out this Clint Courtney catcher for the St. Louis Browns. Love it. Some scoreboard artwork in the background there. Just a beautiful card. I could stare at cards like this all day. Doesn't even matter to me who the subject is, or whether they're in the Hall of Fame or were a star or anything like that. Any card this old, for some reason, even though I wasn't even around to appreciate these the first time around, I just adore these cards. Just a few more to go here. We'll try to wrap this up around the 10-minute mark. There's another suspicious looking Turk Loan, because it almost has like an Art Deco background or feel to the background a little bit there, but interesting stadium shot. There's a couple more. We got Ken Heinzelman of the Fightin' Phillies again. Love that they used Fightin' Phillies as the sort of the logo on the front of these. And then here's a cool one. Obviously, the New York Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers, in my experience, kind of carry a team tax when it comes to vintage, especially, obviously the Dodgers would only have 50s cards, but understandably, a lot of people love those teams, and so it feels extra significant anytime that I'm able to add a Brooklyn Dodger or a notable or even common New York Yankee to the project. You've probably noticed somewhat of a lack of Yankees in today's video, for example. There's a Bob Schultz pitcher for the Cubs. Harry Dorish, some more scoreboard advertising. And I've always wondered about this card, but if you pay close attention, his last name, Dorish, I believe is actually painted onto this advertisement. and his first name, Harry, is above. So the artist kind of creatively, made the background advertising actually say Harry Dorish, which is just kind of a cool thing that you might not notice if you were just flipping through these quickly. So neat card in that respect, cool painting. And then we finish off for today with a nice smiling Andy Semenuk for the Reds. So that was, by my count, 23 more cards, in addition to the 33 that we had at the outset of the video from prior videos, as well as that Bob Boyd. So that would take me up to 56 1953 Topps cards now shown here on the channel in total, and that just happens to be 20% of the set, almost on the nose. It is a 274 card release, which sounds small, but it's quite a challenge to complete a set of that size from the early 50s, but it's pretty cool to be 20% of the way there here, at least as far as cards shown on YouTube, and I do have more of these. I've got another stack ready to go, so if there's any interest, I'll film another quick rummage like this in the future. But for today, I appreciate you stopping by to join me for this batch anyway. Hope you enjoyed some of what we looked at, and I'll certainly be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Until then, keep enjoying the hobby, everybody.